You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. We are live on YouTube, X, and Rumble. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Emilio in Tennessee. Back to talk a little bit of Packers football this evening. Gentlemen, how are we doing? I know, Emilio, I just got back from Knoxville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. When I hit the Morristown area, the heavens opened up. It was, I'm telling you, couldn't see 10 foot in front of the car, bro, in front of the truck. It was big boy. My brother's dog sat in the back seat like, what the hell's going on up there, boy? This sounds rough. But I tell you, when I got home, though, I got home to a half a dozen, maybe a dozen, I haven't counted them, of cannolis and a fresh pizza from Bella Vita in town, courtesy of Emilio. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you sending that over, dude.
From all of us, man. Appreciate you. He said a half a dozen or a dozen. I don't know. I ate 5 of them already. I don't know.
I got home hungry as a hostage, and I'm just telling you, man, when I seen them cannolis, I could hear angels singing. It was unbelievable. It was great. So, speaking of angels singing, I'll tell you what, man, if you listen to the angels every now and again, they'll send you to. So we're just going to kind of pick up where we left off last night, man. We had like 6 more topics to hit on, and we ran out of time. So it's pretty cool that I got to give a shout out to Packers Wire, 33rd team. Like I said last night, it was, who was it? Bill Huber, right? Put an awesome article out. Paul Brettel is just knocking them out of the freaking park. They are doing an excellent job this offseason, just kind of keeping Packer fans in the loop with roster building and who's going to take that next step, all those good things. But let's kind of kick it off with this right here. I thought this was cool. This was according to PFF. It says the top 10 returning head coaches in the NFL per at PFF_Gordon. So the top 10 returning head coaches, obviously it's excluding the new hires, right? You've got number 1, Andy Reid. Number 2, Kyle Shanahan. Number 3, John Harbaugh. Number 4, Sean McVay. Number 5, Mike Tomlin. And in the number 6 spot, Green Bay Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. Number 7, Dan Campbell. 8, DeMeco Ryans. 9, Kevin Stefanski. And then number 10, Sean McDermott. So thought it was pretty cool to see Matt LaFleur well within the top 10. He's about to crack into that top 5. Now, you guys know, I guess my question is, I want to ask you guys this. I'm going to drop this graphic down. I can pull it back up if you need it. Do we feel like that's a fair rating, a fair ranking, if you will, for Matt LaFleur being in the 6th spot? Because immediately I wanted to get angry and be like, come on, he's higher than that. And I looked at the other names. I'm going, I don't know, it kind of feels pretty fair. But what do you guys think about that being in the number 6 spot? I'll start with you, Tim. How do you feel about Matt LaFleur in the number 6 spot now?
Can you pull that back up real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my initial reaction is that I'd like to see him higher up on the list, obviously. But I think it's fair. I mean, you're in rare company up there. I mean, Mike Tomlin, to be mentioned in the same breath as Coach Mike Tomlin it's a big deal, man. That guy's been a monster his entire head coaching career. The ups and downs that the Steelers have had the last few years, they're always in the mix. They're always competitive. So that's good company for our coach. And you've got Coach Harbaugh there, McVay, Shanahan, Andy Reid. I mean, it's a tough top 10 to break into, let alone the top 5. So I think, Coach LaFleur being right there on the bubble of the top 5 seems fair. I'd be willing to bet you once this season is over with, He may move up a rung or two, and some guys may move down the list a little bit. But I mean, overall, I think that's fair. I think, we've got to prove that we can get over the hump and get out of the NFC. We've got to win the NFC and get to the big show. That's the one thing that is left on Coach LaFleur's coaching resume. We've knocked on that door so many times during his tenure as head coach, and I really do believe a trip to the Super Bowl is going to be what it takes to really get him, in the upper echelons of the coaching ranks, I think. So I think this is fair for right now.
Yeah. Honestly, if it were me, the only person I would drop down is Kyle Shanahan. If we're being real, the dude is the only person on that list that hasn't won a Super Bowl. I know it's not everything, but, Sean McVay got their team through there, got him up there, whatever. He got the title. Mike Tomlin's done it. John Harbaugh's done it. Andy Reid's done it. I think that's where your battle starts at number 5. And honestly, with the team that Kyle's had versus the team that Matt has had with just Aaron Rodgers versus, this whole young squad, I think that Matt gets that win there, and then you're kind of fighting it out. I think he would be above Dan Campbell and D'Amico Ryans just because that's so recent and short-lived. Yeah. But I think Matt should pop up to 5 and drop Kyle out of there. I'd be cool with the list then.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of thought of that too because I do feel like Kyle is somewhat overrated. But also, if you look at Matt LaFleur's resume and you look at Kyle's, it's like that's where I kind of got to the point where I'm like, Kyle's been to the Super Bowl. Matt hasn't.
Right, that's true.
Kyle has never had a quarterback at the level that Aaron Rodgers was, right? I think we'd all agree with that.
And I feel like it's a little different because Aaron Rodgers didn't have the playmakers around him as much as Kyle does versus
that's a very good
one quarterback versus a bunch of playmakers or a bunch of playmakers versus no quarterback.
That is a great point right there. Because, again, you're talking about last year, you got to the Super Bowl, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, who was the
they're deep. You know what I mean?
Defense is stacked too. Fred Warner, the best linebacker in the game currently. Yeah, it's a great point, man. It's like the only thing that Matt really had that you would say was better than the Niners was the most important position at quarterback.
Right.
All those other positions definitely outweigh that. There's no doubt. Let's see what the chat's saying about it here. I know we're going to kind of start here at the top. We had a few earlier. M. Smitty said, "Evening PTA posse, another beautiful day for grilling some grilling of chicken breast, corn on the cob, vegetable medley, and talking Packer." That sounds like a pretty good menu right there. That sounds healthy, balanced. Let's go. Mr. Larry Cano in the chat says, "Watching Olympic trials at the same time. These athletes are incredible. Pretty cool, man. You can listen to a Packers show and catch out the trials there with the Winter Olympics or just the Olympics in general, I should say." Angus McHaggis, 3 weeks till training camp starts, boys. It's right around the corner. I'm just telling you, we're gonna blink our eyes and it's gonna be here. United Bates says, "I think it's very fair. A lot of people saying it was all Aaron Rodgers before. At least he's getting his respect." Amen, man. That was the big thing. And you think of all the stress, all the pressure that was on Matt LaFleur last year. And you guys remember in the season, Tim, we doing post-game shows in the first half of the season, I was pissed that Matt LaFleur was catching so much heck because I'm like, bro, they gave him the youngest roster in the league. They pulled an MVP quarterback, traded him away. They trade Rasul, all these things, and it's like, this doesn't feel fair to Matt. Lo and behold, man, he rose to the occasion, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Tupac LaFleur. I told you, man. It's the guys responded. Jacob and I talked about this from the beginning. He was aw shucks Matt LaFleur when he got here. Oh, gee, guys, I'm just happy to be coaching football at the highest level. And man, isn't this great to be here? Yeah, that's gone now. This is Matt LaFleur's team. This is his offense. He's the play caller. He's the mastermind, and he's in full control. And he is not asking for any permission. He'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. He's going to coach this team the way he's going to coach it, and we're going to ride it all the way to a Lombardi. I truly believe that. It's just and I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares about the accolades or coach of the year and all this crap. He wants a championship. He wants to win ball games. So at the end of the day, that kind of stuff is fun for us, chatterboxes and talking heads to discuss. But, at the end of the day, I think most head coaches would probably feel that way, that, the individual accolades are nice. Those are cherries on top, but they don't mean a hill of beans if you don't have a title. or multiple titles. I think you want to win. You want to win ball games and you want to win championships if you're a coach, and really if you're a player too. You shouldn't really care about MVPs if you're not winning rings. So I think it's just a testament to the leadership that we have here.
Right. No, that's it, Tim. Because, I mean, honestly, Matt's growing young men right now, right? He's older than him, not by a lot, but the dude is trying to get these guys to grow and become a team, become a family, and he has to have that leadership to do that. I think if he wins a couple more, 2-digit win seasons, I think that's going to be, a lot going towards his repertoire, but he needs to get to the Super Bowl, right? We got to get there at some point, or else it's just going to be another great coach that won a lot in the season, and we weren't able to close it down. So I'm really hoping that this year, is the start of that climb coming back up the line. We had a few double digit wins, dropped back down with the 9 last year, got up to double digit in the playoffs, and I think we're off to the races now.
Yep,
definitely, no doubt about it. All right, let's see what else we got here in the chat. We had someone who continuously calls me out for saying theticketking.com instead of theticketking.com. But, when you talk to people.
Really?
Yeah, when you talk to people who.
Bro, really?
You're in partnership with and you're advertising for their company, and they specifically tell you, hey, man, one of the big mistakes people make is they go to ticketking.com. So if you'll put some emphasis on theticketking.com, rather than theticketking.com.
Right.
Right. So he's out of here. We gave him the boot. Sorry, man. Sorry he didn't make the cut. It's like the sixth time he's made a comment about that. I don't understand people.
I barely even know her.
Hey, you do you, bro. Just do it on a different channel. You know what I'm saying? This week ain't the week for grammar check. I'm just going to tell you, the grammar police are not welcome in here this week. So Ron Samville says in the chat, LaFleur is finally moving up anyhow. They weren't even mentioning him a couple of years ago. Very true. Very true. Let's see here. M. Smitty said, that's a pretty fair list with Super Bowl winning / appearance coaches. That's the only thing. If Kyle Shanahan hadn't been to a Super Bowl, I'd be like, oh, yeah, no. Matty needs to be ahead of him, right? Fred McFarley says, yeah, I can't argue the list. And then let's see here. Chewy says, 47 people watching and only 7 likes. That's a lot like my old high school basketball team. Appreciate you, Chewy. Yeah, if you guys would just take a quick second, hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. I know we got a bunch of people watching on 3 different platforms, but y'all are awesome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening here. It's Sunday, right, guys? These days are running together on me. It is Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sunday.
Good deal. All right, let's do this.
Surprise brunch this morning. The kid pulled it off, got it in, got out, called it a day.
I'm talking about. Let's go. All right, so Paul Brettel wrote a banger yesterday. I thought was really, really good. He sent this tweet out, and it said, 5 Packers whose names I think you'll hear a lot as training camp and the preseason unfolds, okay? And I've actually got the article here, so let's just kind of skim through this real quick. We've had several of these type of articles, but this one seemed a little bit different. I was going to try to get it to where we can fit it in there. I guess we can't. So let's just kind of see if any of these names, I know many of these we've already talked about. Let's see if any of them are kind of under the radar for you guys. All right. So 5 Packers who could break out during training camp. It goes on to say, one of the beautiful things, let me actually tighten this up for y'all. There we go. Look at that. Man. One of the beautiful things about training camp and the preseason is the opportunity that exists for players on the middle to the back end of the Green Bay Packers roster to either earn more playing time, a spot on the 53-man roster, or even coming out of nowhere to make the practice squad with their performances. I've identified 5 players in particular whose names could be hearing a lot this summer based on how they performed during OTAs and minicamp. Now, of course, the caveat, is it caveat or caveat? How do you guys say that?
I say caveat. When I use big words like that, yeah. I try to say it that way.
I'm with you, fellers. The caveat and the challenge for these players will be carrying those performances over into training camp where the pads actually come on and the intensity is cranked up a few notches. Here are those 5 Packers who have breakout potential if they can continue to build upon the foundation they laid during the offseason programs. Number 1, where's Jacob at? I think we know where Jacob's at. We're not allowed to say it, but we know where Jacob's at. Brenton Cox Jr. All right. It says Brenton Cox put together a thank you for the clap there. I appreciate that. put together a strong showing during off-season programs, particularly during the 2-day minicamp. In one of those practices, he had 2 really nice pass rush reps against Jordan Morgan and Andre Dillard, where he used his power to get each tackle off balance and then made his way to the quarterback. Cox's power pass rush moves will look even better once the pads come on, and he can use that ability to its full effect. So
thick.
Obviously, we've talked about him. You guys know going into the offseason as we transition and switch to a 4-3, he was used somewhat as a hybrid defensive player. Some would say that he'd be more of that Viper type linebacker, which a Viper linebacker most of the time rushes, but can drop into pass coverage as well. Kind of felt like they used him like that at Florida in these short stints of the different schools he was at. So I was wondering, is he going to be a stack backer or a true pass rusher? It seems like they've got him defensive end. He's just going after the quarterback. So that question has already been answered for sure. But let's see here. Number 2, defensive end, Deslin Alexander. Have you guys even heard of him? I didn't know he's on the –
Who?
That's what I said. Now, let's see what Paul had to say about him, because that really caught me off guard. I said, here's an under-the-radar name. Here's the guy to keep your eyes on. Throughout OTAs and minicamps, I was continually impressed with Alexander, who was able to make his way to the quarterback on several occasions during team drills, specifically winning with his speed. Now, having said, the bulk of his reps came with the third-team defense and occasionally the second team when shorthanded at defensive end. And in a crowded defensive end room, I don't expect Alexander to make the 53-man roster. However, if he could build upon these performances when the pads are on, my guess is you'll hear his name a few times this summer. Another thing, too, that might be your swing defensive end guy from the practice squad, right, guys? Because the reality is these guys get banged up, and you need some depth there, don't you, Emilio?
Mm-hmm. You do. And we get 3 times we could bring them up. I'm completely fine with that. And like Paul was saying here, the pads haven't come on yet. So obviously them beating the offensive tackles, beating Dillard, beating Morgan, that's going to happen. You can't – there's no contact. You're not smacking, face masks and all that. So the real test will come, like Paul said, once the pads come on. But I like to see that energy and that we have someone in that position if need be.
Definitely. And one of the reasons why they mention that, let's see what happens when the pads come on. Some people hear that and they think, okay, yeah, they're actually going to be hitting. The big thing is offensive linemen, it's much harder to block when there's no pads. There's less to grab a hold of.
Grant, you're taught as an offensive lineman to throw your hands under the shoulder pads, bring your arms underneath it, grab them, and as long as you are holding your shoulder pads, you're not going to get a hold. You could throw them wherever you want. You have that. So when you're going up against a dude, what are you going to do? Hold him under his armpits or something? You don't have a lot, especially when there's hand chopping and everything. You got nothing to grab onto.
Yeah. Tim, something else that really grabbed my attention here, man, is that, obviously he played for Pitt. Alexander did. I'm assuming it's Deslin Alexander, but look at that Captain C patch there, bro. Another captain that Goody went after, right?
Yep, absolutely. We look for leadership qualities at 1265. It's no secret. And it also doesn't hurt that, I'm just looking at that picture, but clearly
thick.
So, that's a good sign too. So I'm all for it. I think Paul makes a good point here. Nobody probably expects him to make the 53, but let's see what happens when the pads come on.
Mm-hmm.
And
see, being in a practice squad spot, right?
That's right. You never know. So certainly someone to keep an eye on for sure.
Definitely. All right, next on the list, look at this, boys.
There it is. There's my guy.
Grant Dubose. Tim has talked about him a lot. And listen, there's a reason I haven't talked about him. I'm looking at the receiver room going, Grant doesn't – it sounds like the coaches really like Grant Dubose. Let's see what he says here. Paul Brittle says, this isn't me predicting that Grant Dubose is going to take Malik Heath's spot on the 53-man. As it stands right now, the only way I see Dubose making the final roster is if the Packers keep 7 receivers. However, working primarily with the second and third team offenses, Dubose was a favorite target of Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt. That year of experience has him looking more polished, which could result in his name popping up often during training camp. Now, when I read that part, Tim, about him being their top target, I immediately thought of Alan Lazard. The year we brung Alan Lazard in, it wasn't like, okay, this guy's nobody knew he was, big body receiver, and it was just like working with the second and third team. You kept hearing his name, and lo and behold, he ends up being someone who was a contributor on the offense. But when you think about your boy Grant DuBose making the list here, man, Paul Brittle's got his eye on him for sure.
I've had my eye on him too, man. He got cheated out of a season last year with the injury for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think he's working hard to get back. I mean, it's evident. It's going to be fun. I kind of hope Coach LaFleur does keep 7 receivers, but I don't know how realistic that is. It certainly is a possibility, but Grant DuBose, man, when this guy's healthy, he's got wheels, he's got good hands, like you said, big target, big body receiver, physical receiver, great route runner. He has these attributes, and unfortunately, he's in a super talented wide receiver room right now. And there's just not a lot of wiggle room with roster spots. But let me tell you, if there's a guy that's going to make the most out of each and every rep he gets during training camp in this preseason, it's going to be Grant DuBose. And if you want a early prediction or an early pick for, a guy who could be, emerge as a stud star type player in this preseason, it's Grant DuBose. A lot of the way we talked about guys like Bo Melton last year, that, we got excited about him, seeing him at camp and some preseason action before the injury. I really do. I believe Grant DuBose has the potential to really shoot up the ranks if he makes the most of these opportunities that he gets, which I think he will.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Probably the best guy since Antonio Freeman to wear 86 in Green Bay. I'll just put it like that. We'll see what Grant's got up his sleeve this year.
Definitely. I know Coach Lynn in the chat said Grant DuBose sleeper. Love it. Angus McHaggis says, I think DuBose could earn wide receiver 6. He has a higher upside than Heath, and they may not want to risk a cut. That's a good point there. And then Coach Lynn says that's going to be another battle. DuBose, Heath, and don't forget about Torrey. Man, there's camp battles everywhere on this roster. And we've said it every year, like, okay, here's a camp battle, there's a camp battle. But most of the time it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. And you look at every position group, Amelia, I've seen you nodding your head. It's like every group, there's a serious battle going on, whether it's for the backup spot or potentially, stepping into the starting role or solidifying yourself as a starter.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think he's showing up, right? DuBose is putting in that work. It's going to come down to the fact of when these guys are going out in the practice squad, they're going out in preseason, all that, they got to show up, right? He doesn't have, like Tim was saying, a bunch of shots to get his chance out there. you're going to have to block. Matt wants to see you block. You're going to have to catch the ball. Every chance you get, it's going to have to show up. And even if you don't, you fall into, slipping onto the practice squad, or else, dude, even other teams are looking at it. If you had a good preseason, you had a good practice, and the Giants are looking like, dude, we need a wide receiver because we don't know who Danny Dimes is going to throw to. And Dubose stepped up and he played and we let him go. Hey, man, go get your money. So either way, these guys are going to work hard, show up, and want to play football, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I don't know if you guys seen this ad right here. It says Johnson City Doughboys. Obviously the ads are kind of targeted in your area.
Location-based.
Bro, Johnson City Doughboys, the first time. Now we're talking USA Today here. Something about a bridesmaid, $10K for a burial. Okay, never mind. So with Johnson City Doughboys, you hear Doughboys, you go, what the hell is that? It was either World War I or World War II. A unit local to the area, I think it was. They served, all served in one unit overseas in war, and they were in the desert. And they said that where the dirt and the sand blew around and stuck to them, they looked like they were covered in dough. They'd come back and their skin was covered in dirt, so they nicknamed them the Doughboys.
Really?
So, yeah, pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. That's basically a summer baseball league here in Johnson City. Really cool stadium downtown too, Howard Johnson Field. Right next to Steve Spurrier Field and all that. It's pretty cool, man. So anyway, just I seen that ad and I'm like, yeah, they probably wondering what the heck's the Doughboys. That's what it is. It used to be the single A St. Louis Cardinals baseball team there, but again, this is some kind of Appalachian league or something. That's just a summer baseball league. Now it's more like a summer league for college players who I think graduated or are getting ready to graduate, to come in and showcase their talents, put a little more game on tape. So that's what it was. Anyway, it's not a baseball pod. I just seen that. Thought it was cool. Crystal in the chat said, did you guys see the new video of the 2023 season that someone put together? It's beautiful. It's got clips from Jordan's interview with the Pivot, clips of the beginning when Jordan got drafted. And yeah, so it says the whole 9 yards.
Oh, my bad. I tried to pull it.
Oh my. The whole 9 yards. I tried to tag this channel in the comments so you guys could see it, but it wouldn't allow me to tag you guys. I wonder why. But if you haven't seen it, it's a must watch. We'll definitely go check it out, Chris. I appreciate you trying to tag us. YouTube is very strict on what you can do with sharing other content and ideas outside of what they're going to benefit them. I was at that. True international average of pressure. Chris, thank you. Let's see here. Coach Lynn said Samori Toure knows the system and played a bunch at the beginning of last season and the season before. That's the big plus for Samori Toure, no doubt about it. He knows this offense through and through. There's no two ways about that for sure. Here we go. This is M. Smitty got it. Doughboy was also a popular nickname for World War I infantry soldiers. That's what it was. So it was World War I, and that was the nickname for those infantry soldiers that were covered in the dust. So pretty cool. Got the Doughboys as a mascot. Nothing wrong with that. So, all right. So Henry Pearson, tight end. I think I'm listed as a tight end. Obviously, he's more of an H than a Y or a U. So you kind of think of him in regards to being like a fullback type. It says with Tucker Kraft sidelined with a pec injury and Tyler Davis still rehabbing his ACL injury, Henry Pearson was the third tight end during offseason programs, a tremendous opportunity for him. With Josiah DeGuara in Jacksonville, Pearson will have the opportunity to earn a roster spot as the H-back, being asked to move around the formation and utilized primarily as a blocker, but able to impact both the running and the passing game. So Henry Pearson, man, he's that guy that won't go away, Tim. There's got to be something that Goody and Matt LaFleur see in Henry Pearson, and I think it might have something to do with them damn forearms. Look at those forearms on that cat right there, boy.
Yeah, they look like my quads right there. But no, you hit it on the head. I mean, clearly they saw something in him even last year. The little bit of action we saw from Pearson was clearly enough to make the decision to go ahead and move on from Josiah DeGuara. Wish him the best down in Jacksonville, but it was time. It was time to move on. And, tight end is just that official listing, right? We're clearly going to use him out of the backfield a lot. But he can also get in the mix and be a threat in the pass game too, when we need him to be. So I think there's a lot of potential for him. And Paul hits it on the head here with the injuries right now and the question marks in that tight end room, to start this year. he's going to get a lot of reps, I would anticipate. So, hopefully he really takes another step forward. But he's a solid dude, man, built like a Mack truck. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah. Angus McHaggis in the chat says Pearson versus Davis for tight end 4 ? Coach Lynn said the same thing. Pearson over Davis on the 53. When you look at Tyler Davis, let's look at the pros and cons of both players. Tyler Davis, not so much of an H-back. I think we would all agree. He's more of that inline, that wing top, kind of he can play what we refer to as the U, right? Little sift, across formation, and that split flow look. Henry Pearson can play H-back. So you've got one guy who's a traditional U. You've got another guy who's an H. Now, when you look at Tyler Davis, especially if his knee is healthy and he returns to, the same ability that he had before, special teams stud, right? I don't know if we could say that about Henry Pearson. We could probably go look at the special teams grade. As a matter of fact, as you guys talk about that, I'm going to do that. I'm going to hop over and see if I can find his, unless you want to do it, Emilio, whichever you'd rather.
I don't have my iPad in front of me. I'll talk in the meantime. So my thought behind it was, even if Tyler Davis is, a good blocker, we talked about earlier, he's not going to be on kick coverage anymore. He's not going to be, he'll be on, maybe punt team and then field goal block. I think that you can teach Henry Pearson to block. The only thing he needs to do on a kick or on a field goal is just punch his left or right arm out. Right, that's kind of where Tyler Davis sat on those field goals. So I think that he would honestly be a little bit better of an athlete if he's flexible in the H-back position, more flexible of an athlete in punt coverage and stuff like that. The dude's played football his whole life. He knows how to tackle people. You're telling me if he is offered a spot on the 53 to play for the Green Bay Packers, he's not going to go run down on punt coverage and tackle somebody? Yes, that's going to happen. He's a fullback. He knows what he's doing. So I think that it would honestly be a perfect fit if you could thin out a tight end spot and have a flexible, hey, we could even put him in line if we had to. He knows the plays. He could sit there. He's just maybe 2 inches shorter. I don't know his height or whatever, but maybe his body type's a little bit different, but he still knows the plays and he might be even a little bit more flexible than Tyler Davis.
Yeah, and you got minimal snaps here when it comes to Henry Pearson on special teams, but I had to screenshot it because look at this dude's mugshot right here. Look at that guy right there, bro.
Wow.
Does he not look like he's ready to rip somebody's head off?
He looks like this guy's nephew.
You call me anything you want, but don't call me that.
That's his uncle, man.
Funny you say that because I was just about to say he looks like every country saloon bouncer from 1992. He's got the complete look. Got the goatee, got the Kentucky waterfall. That thing's slicked back. Look at the traps. You can see, oh yeah, that dude's ready to rock and roll. But you can see
almost connect to his earlobes. I mean, the dude's ready to play.
Roadhouse.
Exactly. When you come to the special teams grade, though, obviously there he had a minimal look there. It looks like 22 total special team snaps and a grade of 49.3. So it's definitely the value they see is definitely an H-back. 6'3", 249. He's definitely thick. Coach Half. There's no doubt about that.
That'd be fine. I mean, he might be giving up a couple inches to Tyler Davis height-wise. Maybe Tyler's 6'5", 6'6", whatever. I would still be fine having a multi-tool in your pocket rather than, a crescent wrench sort of thing. I mean, Tyler Davis is good, but he's not going to play our H-back, I don't think, especially coming off an injury, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And even pulling those numbers that I was texting y'all about, the 67% of NFL players that come back from an ACL injury are likely to make it back to the field, meaning like a third of the NFL players don't make it back to their previous scale or their previous highs after an ACL injury like that. So obviously, and with that, the first rounders did a lot better than late rounders. So you'll see Rashawn Gary coming back from his ACL, working hard, trying to get that money, coming back maybe a little bit smoother. Maybe he's at 67%. You don't know if Tyler Davis is at 67 or the 33 that doesn't come back to that height.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Eric Sutherland said,
Eric
Sutherland said, good old meathead. That's exactly what you got right there. Let's see here. Dave's in the chat says Pearson is the Roadhouse version of a fullback. LOL.
Thick.
Yeah, let's see. Coach Lane trying to get it back on track for us says, I would love we trend toward a more physical guys with Jacobs and Dillon as our running backs. Could you imagine lining up all of a sudden coming out in like a 22-eye? Like Matt LaFleur just blow everybody away and be like 20. I'm over here screaming 11 personnel, get me 3 wide receivers. Matt LaFleur will zig when I'm expecting.
No, he's like, I got wishbone T formation. I got offset eye, a full house with the offset
break out the old
eye formation with the house. Could you imagine, Clayton, the I formation? Give me all right. We got Henry Pearson at the fullback. Then we got AJ Dillon maybe over stacked to the side. Josh Jacobs behind him in a little triangle. An obtuse or an acute maybe I think it is over on the right. Let's go.
Then you put Sean Ryan in at H-back. Come on, what do you think, Tim?
What?
We're going back to 1987. I love it.
It's cyclical. It's coming back. I'm telling you. You better wait. We're gonna have.
There's a page of those plays in the back of that playbook somewhere.
Yeah.
He's got them just in case.
It's gonna get the cobwebs off that thing. You know what I'm saying?
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
All right, so Corey Ballantyne next on the list. You guys know this is my Rudy Ford this year. All right, you guys know how I felt about Rudy Ford last year. I'm like, man, he is an unsung hero. I feel like this guy played just as good as any cornerback on this team that's not named Jair Alexander. I really believe that. I think he has an opportunity to be the true number 2. It's just, if Eric Stokes was drafted in the same round that Corey Ballantyne was, I think Corey Ballantyne will be the starting corner opposite opposite Jair Alexander. I really believe that. But here is what our buddy Paul Brettel said. Matt LaFleur mentioned during minicamp that he really likes the depth at cornerback. This, of course, includes having Eric Stokes and Carrington Ballantyne competing for playing time. But I also believe he was including Corey Ballantyne in that sentiment. As it stands right now, perhaps Ballantyne isn't a full roster lock, but in my eyes, he's very close. He brings special teams experience to the position and was often working out as a nickel cornerback during off-season practices. That's good information. That's why you read Paul Brettel's stuff right there. I had no idea he was working out as a nickel cornerback, he being not Paul Brettel, but Corey Ballantyne. Nickel cornerback during off-season practices, giving the Packers additional depth at that role behind Keyshawn Nixon, something they otherwise don't have at the cornerback position. Ballantyne held his own when called upon last season, and I believe he will put together a strong performance this summer going against a second-team offense. So Corey
Paul Brettel's more of a boundary corner, so it makes sense that
right.
Ballantyne's
bump and run. He could play mirror match press man.
100%. Are you kidding me?
And don't ask him to play catch man though. He said, I ain't playing off the ball.
No, but he doesn't mind the cover 2 invert once in a while where he can actually get back and play center field.
Actually showcase that speed, that stride length.
Yep.
I'm just imagining Paul out there, man. You know what I mean? Just what kind of swag would Paul have on the football field? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What would his uniform have? Because everybody's got their own little – he'd definitely be rocking the Jordan Retro ones. There's no doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah. He'd definitely have the extra towel. He'd have the towel in the –
Had the visor.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah. White gloves. I think white gloves and maybe one sleeve. Maybe one full sleeve and just let it ride.
Somewhere Paul Brettel was listening to the show. He just turned it off and said, I'm never coming on as a guest ever.
Why do I even show up?
Right. So that was your article there. I thought that was a really, really good write-up by him. And again, sometimes you see those articles come down the pike and you think, okay, well, we've talked about this. There were 3 or 4 of them on that list. It was like, okay, hold on a minute. Might have something there. So thought that was really interesting. Let's now jump over to the 33rd team. They had another article that I was reading. Thought this was kind of cool. And the title of the article says, the biggest position unit upgrades of the 2024 NFL season. All right. And this is across the league. So as we scroll down, most improved. All right. They're saying the Chicago Bears wide receiver. They actually don't have them ranked, but these are the 5. I think they picked 4 or 5 groups here. Okay. Chicago Bears week 1 starters in 2023 at the wide receiver position was DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, tight end Cole Kmet, running back Khalil Herbert. And now this year they've got DJ Moore, same. Keenan Allen, that's definitely an upgrade over Mooney. Rome Odunze, definitely an upgrade over Chase Claypool. Cole Kmet's returning again. Now they've got DeAndre Smith as opposed to Khalil Herbert. I've got to agree with that. That's not the reason I pulled this article up, but just want to kind of give you guys a lay of the land of what these articles are saying here. I'm going to ask you, since it's a division rival there, and listen, I ain't saying we got to sit here and gloat over them or anything, but I think I've got to agree. That does look like they improved that wide receiver room, right? Or am I missing that, fellas?
No, they improved, but it's still a fact that
the Bears still suck.
Exactly, Tim.
No, but you hit it on the head. I mean, drafting Roma Dunze was smart. That's an upgrade over Claypool. Claypool was overrated in Pittsburgh. He was overrated when he came to Chicago. He underperformed. Obviously, adding a guy like Keenan Allen, that is definitely an improvement. And, DJ Moore is a guy that's going to continue to progress. So, yeah, there's certainly they improved their receiver core for sure. They still don't stand a chance compared to our receiver room, but they got a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you're saying there, Keenan Allen is good, but he's 30 plus. I mean,
Yep.
How long is he going to be there on a 1-year deal? I'm pretty sure. I mean, Roma Dunze is a good move, but again, we still don't know what the team's going to be. They got a new quarterback, all that, new OC. So I appreciate them getting their room squared away. Let's see if the rest of it comes together.
Eric Sutherland says the Bears still suck. Fred McFarley says easy to improve when you suck.
Right.
It's a great point, right? Let's go back for just a second. Guys were commenting a little bit later after we finish up that last little segment. Chris Nichols says Ballantyne is a baller. M. Smitty says Ballantyne was key to our success during the Chargers, Lions, Chiefs middle season stretch. Don't forget, he also got the interception and primarily covered Justin Jefferson in that huge win over the Vikings that we just shown, right? So That's another game. Adam Block said, I'm behind on the stream, but I believe Pearson takes Davis's spot. So put it on the ticker. Oof. Adam Block thinks that Henry Pearson will beat out Tyler Davis for that fourth tight end / H-back spot. So really interesting.
I was looking at PFF. So from the season grades last year, out of the entire NFC North, Jair is the third best corner, and Corey Ballantyne would be our second best corner. He would be after 3 Chicago Bears, 3 Detroit Lions, and 2 Vikings.
Got it.
So the dude is efficient. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we can't put that to the side. He was our second best corner last year.
Right. And he's been with the team for quite some time now, too. It's something he's familiar with the coaching staff. They obviously got something. And again, he's a special teams contributor, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, definitely something there. All right, next group they showed was the Tennessee Titans cornerbacks. They think that they did an excellent job kind of overhauling that. That's obviously highlighted by L'Jarius Sneed, that one of the best press man corners in the game. You guys know I didn't think he was worth the money they paid, but there is a premium on press man corners right now, and I'm going to tell you why. The RPO game. The RPO game is alive and well, the short passing game. When you hear me talk about the short passing RPO game, think of the Miami Dolphins and the way Tua gets that ball out so quick. We've always put a premium, and I think the NFL will continue to put a premium on pass rushers, right? That's kind of the top priority. Whether you're talking a 1 to 3 tech, or you're going with a 5 tech and a traditional 4-3, or even a wide 9 and a 34 base, you need pass rushers to get after the quarterback, right? What teams are starting to look at now, and I haven't adjusted my tiers of importance by position yet.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
But and I don't plan on it as of right now. But you're seeing cornerback be valued a little bit more, and the reason being is with these RPO offenses, the only way to combat that is play press man, right? And again, that's why L'Jarius Sneed got paid all that money. It's not that he's just this great overall corner. He is a really good press man corner. And teams look at that and they go, all right, we got to get up on these receivers because you want to reroute them so they can't fire that RPO on time. And it really kind of forces the quarterback because there's no two read. There's typically not two reads. You might have a little snag approach in the concept from time to time. But for the most part, it's you're either handing the ball off or you're going to fire to this slant. You're going to fire to this smoke. You're going to fire that short pass route, right? So with that being said, the way teams are attacking it now is get up on the line and slam those as soon as the ball snap. You're forcing the quarterback to stay one-dimensional and just hand the ball off on those RPO looks. So that's why there's more of a premium on those cornerback positions, specifically the press man corners. So anyway, the Titans, their cornerback room. Looky here, boys. Next on the list is the Green Bay Packers safety room. So this is one, like I said, one of 5 position groups that was listed by the 33rd team as most improved. So let's see what Goody was cooking with here. In 2023, the starters amongst the DB room, and they went ahead and mentioned the DB room, but they said specifically safeties, obviously, because that's where we made our moves. Cornerback 1 was Jair Alexander. Cornerback 2 was Rasul Douglas. Nickelback was Keyshawn Nixon. Strong safety, Rudy Ford, rest in peace. Free safety, Darnell Savage. All right. So here's the new look, projected 2024 week 1 starters. Jair Alexander still instead of Rasul Douglas being cornerback 2, it's going to be Eric Stokes. You still got Keyshawn Nixon projected to be the slot nickel corner. And then instead of Rudy Ford at strong safety, you're going to have rookie Javon Bullard. We've been talking about him a whole lot. And then instead of free safety Darnell Savage, you're going with the top free safety free agent this offseason with Xavier McKinney. So, again, that new look DB room, obviously they're showing a nickel look when the team is in 11 personnel. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes on the outside, Keyshawn Nixon in the slot, Javon Bullard playing that spur, that strong safety on the tight end side of the field in 11 look. If you're playing that Dubs look, and then you got free safety Xavier McKinney probably going to be roaming a lot. And again, we've talked about it. He may be wearing the green dot. Before I read this little article here, let's get your all's take on that, man. When you see it on paper, it kind of pops, don't it? Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard. I don't know if Javon Bullard will play as good as Rudy Ford this year because he's a rookie and he's a second-round pick, and listen, it takes some time to get acclimated to the game. I think he can be just as good, but I'm expecting Xavier McKinney to play lights out compared to Darnell Savage. Tim, what do you think about that DB room there, man?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, safety is where we improve the most probably. I do feel like we got a little better at corner as well. I would say for the projected starters, put a question mark next to Keyshawn there in the slot, and then Eric Stokes Jr. obviously would be a question mark too. There is a realistic possibility that someone could beat those guys at camp for these roles. I guess Stokes would be probably more likely to quote unquote lose that starting slot or starting spot, I should say. Keyshawn, I don't know, unless he's really improved as a slot corner, I don't know, but week 1, yeah, I could see it happening, but we've talked about even Javon Bullard moving into the nickel position on certain downs and being able to play there. We also just talked about Corey Ballantyne as well, a guy that could probably slide into the nickel as well if we needed him to. So those would be my only question marks, but I'm feeling really good about where the DBs are. A lot better than I was last year after the debacle that we had back there last season with everything from the Rasul move to the Ja getting suspended and just the kind of the mess we had with that secondary for a while. It's good to see that we got it cleaned up and we did it right. We went from the back end and worked our way forward, right? First thing we did was went out and got X, and Goody smacked this draft out of the park and brought us in some more key safety talent, and even snagged another young talented cornerback in Kalen King as well. So there's a lot to be excited about with our DBs for sure.
Yeah. And Tim, the way I was going to take it was even looking at Rasul, wouldn't you consider Valentine our number 2 corner after he left week 8, week 7, week 8? He was gone half the season. We had a different corner. it looks good putting Rasul Douglas on there as a name, but I theoretically would think it would be Valentine or Ballantyne that would need to be in that number 2 corner spot.
That's a great point.
Even if you transfer it across and say, hey, upgrade to Stokes or B, bringing it across to Ballantyne or Valentine as our second, I'm not mad at that. And if Ballantyne is an upgrade at nickel and Valentine's going to play corner and it's not going to be Stokes, whatever, I think it'll work. So honestly, I'm cool with the rankings on there because I think you got to kind of look at it again. Rasul wasn't there the whole year. It looks nice him being there and then leaving, but Valentine stepped up last year. I think we got to put a little respect there.
Put some spec on that name. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Fred McFarley, before we got down the list here, he said, guessing our most improved group is safety. He nailed it, knocked it out of the park. Congratulations, Fred. Guess what you won? Absolutely nothing, but we appreciate you playing along, man. Great guess. Mick Knott in the chat says, is Johnson Jr. cornerback 7, the emergency cornerback? He played it at ISU. I think that's safe to say. I think Anthony Johnson Jr., because many people, when we drafted him, are they going to play him at corner or are they going to play him at safety? There was a lot of talk. Now, all the draft nuts, what they refer to as draft nicks, they all said he played top down really well in a 2-high shell, which would make you think, okay, they were going to play him at safety, and that's exactly what happened. But, yeah, I mean, any experience you have at cornerback, I think that's a good point there for sure.
It's just like having Tyler Davis at tight end or Henry Pearson at fullback.
Definitely. M. Smitty makes a great point here. He said, only downgrade is Rasul to Stokes. I completely agree with that. Do you guys agree with that, disagree with that? Rasul, again, going from Rasul Douglas to Eric Stokes, if Eric Stokes is healthy, the best we've seen him is grading out in like the 60s, right? And we've talked about the pros and cons of his game. He's got elite speed when he's healthy. We'll see if he regains that speed after the injury. But the negative was ball tracking was kind of off. Rasul Douglas just played lights out after the Packers traded him last year. I mean, he played lights out before, in my opinion. I know some would disagree, but I thought he played really good before, and he played even better after he got traded. I think I agree with what he's saying there, what Smitty's saying. Do you guys, Rasul Douglas to Eric Stokes, that seems to be like a little bit of a downgrade, right?
Yeah, but again, take into consideration what Emilio brought up too, because we didn't exactly go – it's not that cut and dry. It was Val and Val to where we are now, projecting, Stokes Jr. to be a QB or a CB2 here in 2024, which, hey, let's hope Stokes proves everybody wrong. And this guy just comes out like a lightning bolt and just balls out this year. I will tell you this. I don't think I saw anybody working harder to get back other than maybe Rashawn Gary last year with the rehab groups during camp. I mean, Stokes was locked in. I can tell you the guy's got plenty of time to watch film. He's been watching a lot of film, and yeah, he kind of looked, a little shaky out there in the little bit of action he had last year. But again, he wasn't 100% healthy. He tweaked something right away as soon as he went back out there. It takes a while to get your game legs under you. So I think if he's healthy going into this year, he's got a chance to make some noise and prove a lot of us wrong. But we're also right to say, hey, we got to see it. We haven't seen it since your rookie year. And even then, that being the best stuff you've put on tape, like Clayton was saying, you're still, high 60s, low 70 grade or whatever it was. So, he's got a long way to go, but it just makes for more competition, I think, in the DB room for sure.
Yeah. And honestly, like to that point, Tim, I know I was saying that, but even looking at it, Eric Stokes is coming off an injury. I'm fine with, a first rounder coming back and taking that spot, but I really don't even think that it needs to be at his discretion. I think that we do have a couple guys that could slide in there. Valentine. I'm cool with it. So I think that's a great point. And Rasul wasn't here forever. And I think Ron was kind of hitting on it. We saw some good and some bad with Rasul there. So it is, it's now we're chasing the younger guys. Let them build, let them grow, and we'll see where it goes.
Ron Sample says, I've been curious if Johnson Jr. can play nickel corner. Playing top down in a 2-high shell, kind of similar when you're in a zone defense to playing nickel. You're kind of playing that mid hook for the most part. Mm-hmm. In some cases, you may, play the curl flat, but for the most part, it's that mid hook. And you might have like some carry responsibilities in a matchy type defense where, if the 2 goes vertical at the 7-yard split, all right, that's where it turns into man coverage type thing. So I imagine he's got the skill set that he could play that in a pinch. I don't know if it's ideal, though. But great question. Ron Sample also says, I thought the tape we watched, Rasul was having a rough time before he was traded. What I remember seeing on the tape is Rasul getting extremely pissed at other people because he kept blowing coverages. Now, not to say he wasn't at fault too. Again, I remember the PFF grade when we traded him. He was in the top 3, I think, amongst corners, if I remember right. He was right there at the top. He was hands down the highest graded Packer players up to that point on defense. And then he got even better according to PFF with Buffalo. And you can take that, take it or leave it, whether you like PFF or not. But Smitty in the chat says, Tim, that was going to be my follow-up. I hope Stokes make me look like a fool for my assessment. I think we're all wanting to be proven wrong when it comes to Stokes, man.
Yeah. I was looking at the safeties from Ron's point about Johnson Jr. Obviously the best safety in the North is Xavier McKinney. But coming down, the next one that's on the team, Rudy Ford, was 5th best. The next one that's on the team, it would be Anthony Johnson Jr. with his defense grade at 47.9, 37.7 run defense, and a 53.9 coverage. But he did play 300 snaps. So the dude's got experience, right? We want him to step up after this. He needs to step up and come up to that level. But we needed to make that move. Like, looking at this now as a cumulative of the North, dude, there's 4 Bears, 3 Vikings, 3 Lions safeties better than Anthony Johnson Jr. So it was big bringing X in.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great point. I mean, all of our division rivals made improvements to their secondaries for sure. Like it's a testament to this wide receiver core that we have. They know what's coming for them. Like, after last year, it's not a secret anymore that the talent level in Green Bay at the receiver position. So
Lions brought in 2 corners, Tim.
Yeah. You see that, right? So it's like we talked about that on draft day too. Like, I wonder why our division rivals are drafting, why they're the way that they're drafting. It's like, because they got to deal with Dobbs and Scoot and Jaden Reed and Tay Wicks and Tuck Norris and, like the list goes on and on. So it makes perfect sense. And, it's a good thing that we didn't lose focus either. And we made some good draft picks on the defensive side of the ball ourselves, to help go against some of this top tier talent that, quite frankly, is in our division, because there are some offensive threats too in Detroit and Chicago. So,
not like the best wide receiver in the league is not on the, in the team, another team in the NFC North. We got to be able to cover the dude.
That's right. So true. I mean, the thing with Justin Jefferson is just, who's going to throw him the ball? That's the big question mark. But yeah, you got to account for that for sure. That guy's top tier.
Coach Lynn in the chat says, if Johnson can play safety, then Bullard can play the slots. Great point, right? They're very
Ola Home Depot.
I think it's hilarious that this article was to say, hey, we've got the most improved safety room in the league, essentially, and we talked about the corners the entire time. So let's talk about the safeties here just a touch. It says the safety play might have been the most inconsistent part of a disappointing Green Bay Packers defense last season. Green Bay couldn't consistently get good coverage or downhill run fits from the position, which left the back end of the defense exposed. The Packers were 29th in EPA per play against throws of 16 or more air yards last season. Green Bay made a rare free agency splash by signing safety Xavier McKinney. McKinney fits perfectly into what the Packers want to do with new defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Hafley ran more single high shells at Boston College, and McKinley is likely to play the post safety role. McKinney is likely to play the post safety role for the Packers. McKinney has the range to play as a single high safety. He did that for 27.5% of his snaps in 2023, but he also has the versatility to play as a split safety in the box and in the slot. He spent nearly 10% of his snaps near the line of scrimmage on third down in the Giants' blitz-happy scheme last season. So obviously a much more well-rounded player than one Darnell Savage is Xavier McKinney. So really excited to see them week one and unpackage all these nice new toys here.
And you see it, Clayton. I'm telling you, pulling up the PFF, this is all of the safeties in the North. The only person that grades out well is X. He's at the top of the list, 4th ranked in the league. The only other person on here is Rudy Ford for our team and Anthony Johnson Jr. Rudy Ford was 32nd as a safety. AJJ was 91st. So I'm beyond ecstatic that they made a move and pulled the trigger. And it's crazy because, remember, we were literally looking at all the corners. Hey, safety maybe in the first round if it's Newbin. If not, we'll pick one up in the later rounds and make it happen. Goody was like, you guys are completely wrong. You guys need to get with the program. We need 3 safeties, and we'll go from there.
Right. Again, man, when you've got a deficiency like that, when you've got a weak spot,
right,
take multiple swings. That's how you fix it. That's how you get it taken care of, right? I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think the year that we got Bakhtiari later in the draft, was it the 4th round, I believe, wherever it was? I think we may have taken an offensive lineman in the 1st or 2nd round, right?
Yes.
So and the reason it happens like that, in my opinion, guys, when you're going into the offseason, one of the things that the front office is doing is they're trying to establish needs. It's not that, hey, we're only going to draft at this position, but it's, look, here's the position we need to get right. So they spend more time on those positions of need. Therefore, they get more guys that kind of fall under that umbrella. All right, these guys are draftable. We're going to put a 67 on him, a 65 on him, a 63 on him.
Right.
And then lo and behold, you think, okay, we want one of these 3 guys. Well, you take the first one off the board, you come back around on draft night or round 2, round 3, whenever it is, and you go, hark, the number 2 guy on our short list is there. Let's take him too. That's how you end up drafting multiple players at the same position, for sure. And the media acts like, whoa, can you believe they took that? Of course. That's where they spent the majority of their time, is making sure we got to get this position shored up and fixed. And the same thing applies with free agency. Front offices treat free agency the same way as they do the draft. They go to their original draft grades of those players that are on the market. They look at their recent scouting of those players, how they played in the league, and they go, okay, here's our top choices. Let's take multiple swings. That's how you end up with Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith in the same year, right? That's how you end up with those multiple players at the same position in the same year. So, Tim, you got anything else, bro?
I was gonna say with scheme fit, body type, all of that stuff is going to play out into the fact of, hey, we're going to make this decision. Character, does he have a C on his chest? How's he carry himself? All of that. That's what they're looking at. It's not just one.
Definitely. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry, Bo.
Oh, I just see Smitty there confirming. Yeah, Bakhtiari, 4th round out of Colorado.
There you go.
Yeah, it's proof in the pudding. Look at our quarterback situation, right? We talked about this. We took a quarterback in the draft this year. Yep. We took a quarterback in the draft last year. Depending on the draft class next year, we might take one in the 7th round again next year. There's no telling. We could sign a free agent, poach someone from a practice squad. You never know. The point is you don't fall off or have a deficiency if you're constantly filling potential voids or you're addressing needs before they become issues. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Michael Pratt and we've talked about Sean Clifford, and I agree with Clayton. Clayton has said it several times that Lord forbid we need to play a game without Jay Money at quarterback. I feel pretty good about who we've got coming up behind him to go out there and steal us a win on a Sunday and keep our season going if need be. So that's a telltale sign of proper management and roster building. And yeah, look, lo and behold, it's applying to our linebacker room, our safety room, our corners. We're doing it on both sides of the ball, all phases of the game. The only other thing I have to add about my boy Ant Johnson is he's a special teamer guy as well, too. He could find himself with a spot on this roster strictly off the special teams play. And the fact that he's got, I believe he said 300 plus reps under his belt last year. And, hey, we haven't seen any of these guys in a Jeff Hafley 43 yet. So who knows what we're going to get, man. It could exceed our wildest expectations this year, a lot of these guys. So I'm excited.
And taking the 3 of them, I mean, you could take 1, 2, 3. One of them could be a 1/4 inch, one could be a 5/16, and then one of them could be, I've forgot the next one, 6/16, whatever that fraction is, whatever. So I mean, like, you could get it done with a 5/16, but we need a 1/4 inch to fit in there, right? To actually hug the bolt and turn it. So I like the scatter shot. We need somebody that'll fit, and you got a better chance with a few.
If you had to turn that bolt, Amelia, what kind of tool would you use to turn that bolt? That's the question I got.
I mean, I don't know which one. We'll pull out the installation driver today, folks. Installation driver. This removes. We could do a 90 on here. They got an offset bit for cabinet work. I mean, You are just.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
We'll just engage. Oh yeah. Listen to that.
AI is going to pick that up and think that you pulled a gun out on the show.
Dude, and it's built. You don't even use the index finger. The cubby is built for your hand. I mean, we're missing out here.
Just the tip, though.
Just
Pipeline was this week. So many new inventions coming out. You guys are missing it.
Everybody, get down to Home Depot.
Heavy.
Get down to Home Depot, get you some Milwaukee tools, and tell them that Emilio sent you.
Yeah, Emilio will be there signing autographs in the lobby.
Could you imagine they get 5-6 of those, and I get like an email, "Hey, you need to stop trying to promote our company. What are you doing?"
I know we're already over on time. We're over here showcasing tools, but I love it, man. I needed this laugh tonight. One thing I'll say about the quarterback position, taking those multiple swings like that, imagine if the San Francisco 49ers hadn't taken that extra swing at Brock Purdy. You understand, they would be in quarterback hell right now.
Yep.
They would be trying to fit a square peg into a round hole in Trey Lance. Jimmy Garoppolo, they'd have him wheeled out there, taking Geritol and in a wheelchair and trying to patch that together. Instead, they've got what I believe, and I know I'm going to catch hell, and we're going to end the stream before I catch that hell. I think he might be a top 5 quarterback in the league, me personally, Brock Purdy. And you get him in the 7th round, that's what you're kind of doing with Michael Pratt, right? And again, it's really cool to hear the conversation that took place for the Brock Purdy draft pick, because they said it was the owner, I think, that went to I believe it was the owner. It was some kind of front office executive higher up that doesn't make like personnel decisions, went to John Lynch and said, if you've got a third grade talent tacked onto Brock Purdy, why are you not drafting him? And in their mind, they're going, well, we got our quarterback room already we traded up a ton of capital to get a quarterback in Trey Lance. Hey, listen, if he's not the guy, he's not the guy. Mm-hmm. Again, the only thing worse than making a bad draft pick is not admitting you made a bad draft pick, right?
Right.
So if they hadn't taken that swing, and I love that whole conversation about how the owner or whoever it was said, you got a 3rd-round talent on him. Why aren't we taking him? Because he could see the board in the room. Like, what are we doing here, right?
The only guy way up there on the top.
Right.
It was like when we were looking at your board, Clayton, it was like, dude, there is still a dude with the elite talent that everybody's passing on. 1, what's his injury? 2, what's his off-the-field issues? And 3, why has he not gotten drafted?
Right. Same thing we just talked about Kalen King. I mean, different position group here, absolutely. But Kalen King, another one that, depending on who you looked at, there were some analysts that had him 2nd-round grade on him, and he falls to the 7th round. I mean, you got to draft that guy, right? You absolutely have to.
Kingsley and Igbare a couple of years ago, same thing.
Yep.
Every round, once we get to the 3rd round, it's like, okay, I could see an Igbare going here. I was calling him a Nagbar, but it was him. I
Oh, I remember that. A Nagbar. Yeah.
I'm going, why is a Nagbar, And then you get to the 4th round, it's like he's still there. You get to the 5th round, it's like, what is he doing? What did he do? So they took him. I was like, I don't know.
Clayton was about to call Mark and say, we need to adjust it. I'm trying to get my owner money out of this. Will you draft him?
Mark Murphy was like, how sure are you that he's going to be a good pick, though? And
Clayton was pretty sure.
Yeah, my response is always
65%. 65%. That's what we
Sounds weird.
All right, let's get out of here, boys. This show sucks. Appreciate y'all. This was a lot of fun, man.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Emilio, thank you again for the cannolis and the pizza, dude. Money.
Not a
I gotta hide it from everyone else. So that's gold or not. But anyway, Tim, appreciate your time, man. This was fun.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Anytime. This is great. Love it.
All right, man. We will be back tomorrow for PTA Live. There's a chance I'll do 2 shows tomorrow. Got a lot of stuff I got to take care of. Just organizing stuff for the service and everything this week. So in between that, I thought if I get an hour or 2, I might just randomly go live, but we'll definitely be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live. So appreciate everybody's time. Tim, help me out here since he's not in the house.
Those of you listening on the pod.
Jacob, hope you're doing well, buddy. Thank y'all for making us part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
Happy as a possum in a dumpster.